It's really not a subject that's taught in school. It's also kind of a boogeyman topic. In other words, I've done several presentations at state music educator conferences on copyright, and it's hard to get an audience in there because most of them think you're going to point and point and point. And so actually I've been successful by making it a game. I do copyright Jeopardy, and it gets the discussion going. Really, when I talk about copyright, I really talk about intellectual property. And I talked just a little bit about this when we talked about intransigence with, the people that have control over intellectual property or copyright really want to only deliver it in a way that monetizes the property and in a system that they're comfortable with. With the emergence and the full acceptance of a younger generation of digital communication, digital delivery, it opens up, I feel, more opportunities than problems. I mean, in the first days of Napster and Kazaa and some of those others, when people were downloading 10,000 songs and so on and so forth, you think, oh my God, they'll never buy another piece of music again. Well, guess what? A lot of those people weren't buying it in the first place. I know this is long-winded, but follow me just for a second. I love my iPod. I have every one of my CDs on my iPod, and when I go through, and I usually play it in random sequence, and I look down there and it says, you have 563 days worth of music on here that, if you were to play it on random, you'd never hear the same song again for another 563 days. You have so much content on there. Well, that's a couple of years by my calculation. But, because it's so accessible, because I now have everything, I have my whole library on there, I actually go out there and buy more music. So what I'm coming back to is to say that I feel that the controllers of copyright intellectual property should really re-examine the relation that they have with the users. In instrumental music, with concert band and orchestra product that's sold to the schools, there's never enough clarinet parts, there are never enough string parts, there are never enough of the right mix. And the directors really would like to do the right thing. But the publishers and the music retail stores put so many obstacles in their place that you have to go through so many hoops and ladders to be able to get the copy that you want to fit the needs, that if they would loosen up the control over it and say, yes, it's accessible on the web and it's a modest cost, take it and get it. It's a hard subject to explain to a group of young people. It really is. And I don't have the answer. I really don't. Tangible property, and I've tried to make the analogy with, let's say, on a lost band part, a lost choral part, whatever it may be, and make the connection to tangible property. Kids lose clarinet reeds. They misplace trumpet mouthpieces, and they come into rehearsal and they don't have it. Well, you wouldn't think of going out to the local music store and breaking into the case and taking out a reed or a mouthpiece, which it's tangible property. But when they come into the band room or the choral room and they're missing their piece of music, because it's so easy to just go into the Xerox machine and make a copy out of it, people do it. It's done. Whereas if it were much easier to access and purchase that missing piece of music and have it delivered digitally, but the copyright holders don't want to do that. They're just afraid that that's a Pandora's box, that once they let that first copy out there, because it can be replicated so easily and so close to the original version, they want to put their head in the sand and not allow it. And so, even though I've worked for companies that control copyrights and we make our living off of selling something physical, too many of the people in charge don't want that world to change. They are intransigent.